Hi, in this video we're going to be looking at task 2 of the IELTS writing test. Now in a previous video we looked at the different types of question that you'll be getting in task 2 of the test. So if you haven't already seen that video, do go back and have a look. Now in this video we're going to be thinking about writing an introduction to your answer. Now, this doesn't have to be too difficult. The introduction really needs to be short and simple so you can focus on the ideas in the main part of the essay, which are the body paragraphs. So the introduction has to be short and simple. And I'm going to give you a nice simple method to use to write your introductions and make sure you don't spend too long on this part of your essay. So let's get into it. Now, I think the introduction to this essay only needs to be 2 sentences long. Now, I know that does seem quite short, but you've got to remember this is an IELTS essay. It's not the kind of essay you're going to write at university. The introduction will probably have to be longer in these types of essays. But in task 2 of the IELTS writing test, we have 40 minutes to write at least 250 words, meaning it's not the longest essay and we don't have much time to write it. So 2 sentences for your introduction is enough, and it can meet the requirements to get a very high score. Of course, you do have to write good body paragraphs and a decent conclusion as well, but your introduction doesn't need to be more than 2 sentences. Let me just explain what each of those sentences are doing, because they both have a specific purpose that we need to fulfill when we write the introduction. So, the first sentence needs to introduce the topic, so it's a topic sentence. So whatever the topic is in the question, you have to write one nice clear sentence introducing the topic. And that's it for the first sentence. Then you can move on to your second sentence. In the second sentence, you need to answer the question. It's quite simple really, but you have to do what the question asks. And you only need to spend 1 sentence on this. You don't need to give too much detail. Of course, you're leaving the detail for your body paragraphs where you'll explain this sentence in more detail. So hopefully that's clear now, but it would be good to look at an example for a question and an introduction to show you how we can do these 2 things and use these 2 sentences. So let's have a look at this question here. You can see here this is actually an opinion question because it's focused on your opinion. Let's have a read. Some universities now offer their courses on the internet so that people can study online. Is this a positive or negative development? So of course this question focuses on your opinion and only your opinion. It's different to the discussion essays or the problem solution essays we looked in the previous task 2 writing video. The thing is, we can use the same method for all types of task 2 questions. So we've got that question there. And of course, I said to you in the first sentence of our introduction, all we need to do is paraphrase the topic. Now, the topic of this question is just the first sentence of the question, which actually begins with a fact. Some universities now offer their courses on the internet so that people can study online. This is a fact, right? It's not an opinion. So the topic of the essay is this fact. So all we need to do in this first topic sentence that we're using in the introduction is take this sentence and paraphrase it. meaning we're going to have to keep the same idea but change some of the vocabulary and the structure of the sentence. So let's have a look at an example of this first sentence, the topic. Here it is. It is true that online courses are becoming a common feature of university education. Pretty short, I know, but we don't need to do more than that. It's nice and concise, and it shows that we understand what the topic of the question is. We've paraphrased a little bit. We've started the sentence with the phrase, it is true that. It's a good phrase to use when we're starting the essay with a fact and not an opinion or a couple of opinions. Also, we've paraphrased a little bit. Rather than offering courses on the internet, we're using online courses are becoming a common feature of university education. So we're changing some of the vocabulary there, which is not an easy thing to do, but it's something that's not too complex. We don't need to be overthinking anything or adding any new information. It's just taking that first sentence and paraphrasing it. So that's the first sentence of the introduction, but as you know, we're not done yet. There should be a second sentence to give a nice full introduction. We need to answer the question. Now the question here is this a positive or negative development? So here you need to give your response, your answer to the question. Now it's up to you how exactly you answer this, but you must do it in the introduction and make it very clear what you think. Now, if we have a look at the second sentence for this introduction, here it is. Now, you can see here we've actually shown both positive and negative. We've given a balanced view of this, but we've made sure it's not what other people think, it's what the writer thinks. So we've used an although sentence. Here it is. Although there are some drawbacks of internet-based learning, I would argue that there are far more benefits. So there we go. We've clearly shown that, okay, we can see the negative sides, but also overall we would say there are more benefits than there are drawbacks. It's nice and clear. We've made sure we haven't copied too much of the language. We paraphrased a bit more using the phrase internet-based learning instead of online courses. Again, we've used the word drawbacks to be instead of using the word negative, and the word benefits instead of using the word positive. So we've made it nice and clear what the opinion is of the writer. We've also used the pronoun I. Remember, these IELTS essays are about what you think, so you do need to use this pronoun. I know it's something that a lot of us will learn, that we shouldn't use the pronoun I in academic writing, but this does not apply to task 2 of the IELTS writing test. So let's just look at that whole introduction now. It is true that online courses are becoming a common feature of university education. Although there are some drawbacks of internet-based learning, I would argue that there are far more benefits. So all we've done here is given a nice clear topic sentence, and then in the second sentence we've answered the question. Now, of course, for the rest of the essay, we'll go into a lot more detail and give some of the drawbacks and give some of the benefits. But in the introduction, you don't need to waste time doing that. And you don't need to waste time with a third or fourth sentence. We need to be nice and clear, show the examiner that we understand the question and what it's asking. That's all you need to do. And that's enough to get a really, really high score. This introduction is a perfect example of a really high scoring IELTS essay. So there we have it. I hope that was pretty clear and simple to follow there, but of course you're going to need to practice doing this with other questions so you can get used to this method of just using 2 sentences so you don't waste too much time when you're in the actual test, and you can focus most of the time on the really important body paragraphs. Now, in future videos, we will be looking in more detail about how to write those body paragraphs and how to give a good conclusion, but I just wanted to focus on the introductions today. I'm hoping the video was useful, and if you did like it, don't forget to click like, and if you want to make sure that you don't miss any more similar videos on similar topics in the IELTS test, then make sure you click subscribe. So there we have it. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you again in the next video.